everyone, welcome back to the channel of Ecoholics. So here I am again presenting you the discussion for the paper Economics Optional from year 2022. So I'm going to take another question. I have already done videos on few questions. So if you want to visit them, please visit those discussion videos on our channel. So in this video, I'm going to discuss question number 3 and part B. So in this question, we are going to talk about the deposit multiplier with the money multiplier. So you have to bring the comparison between deposit multiplier and money multiplier. So next part of the question asks you, is there any impact on the money multiplier arising out of massive use of credit and debit cards? Justify your answer. So in this answer, please be very careful while picking up the strategy. So first, you have to bring the comparison between deposit multiplier and money multiplier. So when you're going to bring this comparison, what all points you need to include here? The first point talks about definition, which is quite obvious. So talk about definition in both the multipliers. The second point is formula. You have to mention their formulas. And then you can compare their values, that which one is going to be greater. And the usage also you can compare. Usage can be compared while writing the definition also, but you can present usage as another point also if you wish to do that. So that's how you're going to compare them. And then you answer this next part, that because there is a massive use of credit and debit cards, which is increasing nowadays, so how is it going to impact the value of money multiplier? How is it going to, maybe it will either increase the effect of money multiplier or it will decrease. We are going to see that. Let's see that. All right. So coming to the definitions of deposit multiplier, what is deposit multiplier? So deposit multiplier is simply the change in deposits that would come. So I will be representing my deposit multiplier with initial small d and m in a subscript. So it represents the change in deposits due to the changes in reserves of the bank. When there a change comes in the reserves, which are kept by the bank with themselves, what change would come into the total deposits of the bank? That is known as deposit multiplier. We know that every bank keep a part of their total deposits in reserve, and they also lend out the remaining money to the people, to the borrowers, right? So deposit multiplier explains you that how the changes in the bank requirement. So if the bank is changing its reserve requirements, then how is it going to affect the money which the bank was creating on the basis of that? Because we know that the banks keep a part of money as reserves with themselves and lend out the remaining part. So how it changes in the reserve ratio maybe are going to affect the amount of money supply and eventually the total deposits. They can, so the amount of money, how much amount of money can be affected by changes in bank reserve requirements, which they were lending out through deposit expansion. They were increasing deposits for lending out the money. So the deposit multiplier represents the maximum amount of money a country could potentially create through the credit creation process. Correct? That is the definition of deposit multiplier. So that's how you are going to define it. Now, after this, let's get to the values of it and the interpretation of the deposit multiplier. So, for example, if your reserve ratio is 10%, it means the banks are required to keep 10% of their deposits into the reserves. Then your deposit multiplier will be equal to 1 upon reserve ratio, which means 1 upon 10%, which equalizes to 10 only. So what does this deposit multiplier of 10 actually means? What is the interpretation of this one? So deposit multiplier of 10 shows that if there comes 100 rupees increase, if the cash reserves increases by rupees 100, the total deposits will increase by 1000 rupees. This is what the deposit multiplier with the value 10 shows us, because I told you that deposit multiplier over here, I told you that deposit multiplier tell you the change in deposits due to reserves. So if the deposit multiplier is equal to 10 and reserves are changing by 100, this automatically needs to change by 1000 rupees. So if the bank's cash reserves increases by 100, their banks can create a credit or through which they will ultimately be increasing the deposits by 1000 rupees. So this is the formula, this is the interpretation of demand deposit, the demand multiplier. Now let's come to money multiplier. What's money multiplier? Money multiplier actually tells you that on the basis of high powered money. So if we try to interpret this, I'm denoting money multiplier with the use of small m. So it shows us the ratio of money supply to high powered money. That on the basis of high powered money, how much money supply can be created. Like if we try to make a diagram, high powered money is there and this is your money supply. It expands due to the presence of money multiplier. So the money multiplier on the other hand represents the actual change to money supply created through lending. Now you have high powered money. What do you include in high powered money? In high powered money, we include currency with the public and the reserves with the commercial banks. So on the basis of reserves, we know we can create money supply. So when the money supply through lending will be created, money supply will be equal to currency with public and deposits of the public with the bank. So it increases. Currency with public remains same. Just because of reserves, the demand deposits will increase. We have seen this in deposit multiplier. So it's usually lower than deposit multiplier because of course banks do not lend all of their reserves and borrowers do not spend all of their money. So because the deposit multiplier, we take the proportion which will be created into the deposits. So the banks are keeping a part of the money with themselves, hence the deposits, hence the money cannot be basically increased by that extent. And also if you are expanding money, if you are increasing money supply, people are not coming again to the bank to increase that deposit because they're not spending all of their money again. So this is the definition of money multiplier. Now before that, let's get to the formula for money multiplier. I told you money multiplier is equal to money supply upon high powered money. Money supply is equal to currency with public plus demand deposits, whereas high powered money is equal to this. Up currency with public. The public will always hold currency as a proportion of their deposits. So K represents the currency deposit ratio. And deposits we already have. Whereas again here replacing currency with public with KD, and reserves are also a proportion of deposits, where R denotes the reserve ratio. So what do I get? I will be getting an answer 1 upon K into D. I am taking D out common. K plus R into D. So the final value of money multiplier hence becomes 1 plus K into R plus K. So it means money multiplier depends on the currency to deposit ratio, which is denoted by K, and the reserve ratio, of course. Now this is the first part, answering to the first part. The second part asks you about the impact of increase in the usage of the credit cards and debit cards on the money multiplier. Now we know that if you are using debit and credit cards, nowadays we are doing that now. So if you are using a lot of times your credit cards or debit cards, the circulation of money would definitely decrease. So if money is lying over here, it is transferred digitally. The velocity of money is facing a shortage, or it's falling over here. Now what happens when the central bank issues money? The government is also involved into that. What happens is the production cost of money, whereas the face value of money has a difference. And that is where the central bank earns the revenue. So if money is not getting circulated, we do not need the money to be printed again and again. We do not need to maybe reissue the same note again and again because it faced a disturb. So there was maybe the note, the currency note has just destroyed. So the RBI will have to reprint it again. So the RBI can actually earn revenue from that part. But because the money is getting transferred digitally, that is not happening on a daily basis. Hence, decreasing amount of currency would lead to a reduction in seigniorage and, of course, the revenue collection through seigniorage. So now the central bank will have to be dependent on the government for their needs because they are not earning the same revenue. So they have to take financial support of governments. So therefore, if they are taking help from the government, their monetary policy decisions do not remain independent. They will be intervened by the government. So that is a major cause. You can elaborate this point by presenting the more reasons why this would happen. So that's how you had to answer this question. I hope you will find this video useful. If you like this, please subscribe to the channel and also let us know if you want discussion for more answers. We will be here back to present the discussion for more answers. Thank you so much.